Hey folks, and welcome back to Max Nave Horsemanship and Baby Steps. And we're going to just continue doing little baby steps. And as you can see, we have a baby with us today. Well, she's not the only one. We've got the other one to work with too, but I'll just give you a quick little rundown on what we're up to today because I've emphasized this many times. I'm going to keep saying it. You got to do stuff over and over and over and over and over. And that's what we're doing now. There's very little new, especially with this one. There's very, very little new that we can do with this one. But all of the things that you have already seen us do, we're going to do again and again and again. And it may seem a little boring to some of you that this isn't real exciting. Well, no, actually, proper training is not real exciting. It's not a rodeo. It's not a cowboy show or anything like that. It's a bunch of repetition, a whole lot of doing stuff over and over and over again till you get it right, or even better than right. You know, ask anybody that's an athlete of any kind, a skilled competitor, whether they're a swimmer, a boxer, or anything, and they will tell you that the way to succeed in any competition, the secret to success is basics. And that's why if you go into a gym and you see some famous boxer in there, he's probably going to spend a half an hour hitting the heavy bag. Is that very exciting? No, that's boring as heck. But that's basics. And he'll keep doing that over and over and over and over because the slightest bit of an improvement might make the difference between whether or not he wins the competition. Well, that's how it is with horses. You got to do the same thing over and over and over and over until you get it super, super good. I can't remember who it was that said that, in competitions you get rosettes, the big kind of a wreath thing you hang over the horse's head or something. I don't know how they do it. And he says, you actually win those at home. You just go to the competition to collect them, pick them up. You've done your work at home. That's where you want it, is at home, by doing the basics over and over and over. And yeah, it's going to drive you nuts, but you got to do it. And that's what horse training is all about. It's boring, monotonous stuff, but it's got to be done that way. And it's the only way you improve. We could turn it into a rodeo and make it all exciting for people, and I'm sure there's lots of people that love to see that stuff, but that's not reality. That's not the way it works in the real world. In the real world, it's very boring if it's done properly. Quite boring. This one here, recently you saw me load her in a trailer, and this goes back to the difference in horses. Is you saw how she loaded? It wasn't bad. She loaded reasonably good, and we are going to do it again and again and again. The other one that I've been working with, I had no intentions at all of trying to load her, but I just opened up the back door of the trailer and let her up to it, and she's like, heck no, I want nothing to do with this thing. She wouldn't even go near it. Completely different horse. So when the time comes to load that one, it's going to be a whole different story. And I think that's one that might be a long video, that one. And you're going to get to see it. I'm going to show you that one because that's one of those events that an awful lot of people struggle with. And I think the secret to that is, again, basics. Go back to all the basic work we've done, and it makes loading in the trailer a whole lot easier. Now, trailer loading is something a lot of people struggle with. It's something that I have helped a lot of people with. It's almost a specialty sort of thing because a lot of people really have trouble getting a horse in a trailer. And it doesn't surprise me because if you go by a lot of the old school ways of doing things, and I heard so-and-so did it this way and so-and-so did it that way and whatever, and a lot of those methods are just horrible, and they actually just make your problems worse. So when I do it, the way I do it, it's pretty boring actually, but we don't just put a horse in the trailer. We do a lot of stuff, all the groundwork that you've seen us doing. We always do that prior to loading the horse in a trailer because that kind of sets the stage, getting the horse to move forward, getting it to be straight, getting it to accept cues, to trust me that when I lead it into something, nothing bad's going to happen. These are all things that are going to be necessary. And I'm thinking that other one, as much as she freaks out right now with the trailer, by the time it comes time to trailer loader, she's probably going to be a lot better. She's not going to be the same as this one, though. I can guarantee that. And that's why it's going to be kind of fun to set up the camera and let you see what takes place, because I can guarantee it's going to be different. I might even have to employ a slightly different method, too. But, so what are we going to do? Well, actually, I think both these horses are going to get a lot of the same stuff done. We're going to have her side up to the mounting block, have her respond to the lead. Something I haven't done in quite a while is having her flex, and I don't even know how. Oh, not bad, not terrible. She responds not quite as nice as I would like, but she is responding. Okay, that's not bad. That's not horrible. We're going to do some more of that, though. The side passing, backing up, leading, all the stuff that you've already seen us do. Probably the only thing I won't do is work with the tarp today, because it's not a bad day out, but it's, as usual, a little breezy, and working with the tarp on a breezy day doesn't always work well. I'll probably take her lead around the yard a bit too. The other one, I don't know if I even need to do that, because the last time I led her around the yard, she didn't care about anything that I exposed her to out in the yard. So I don't know that there's actually any point in doing that with her. But I might do it again one of these days. Anyhow, this one, absolutely, she needs it. And, you know, I've been taking her out into the yard and around and back. And each time we do it, we go just a tiny bit further. Not a lot, very, very little. Because I'm kind of watching her and see when she starts getting a little worried. And lately, she's actually been getting a lot better. So we can make the extensions a little more now. The first couple times, we barely went further than we did the time before, barely. This time, I think the last time I had her in there, we went quite a bit further than we had previously. So there's been some significant improvements, but like I said, what we're going to be doing today is going to be stuff you've seen. I'm not doing a darn thing new. It's all going to be stuff you've seen. With both horses, there's nothing new. Really, that other one, even though she's not near as advanced, we've done pretty much exactly the same stuff with that one as we have with this one, other than the trailer. That's about the only difference. And so the only difference is this one we've done it more times. So she's got that advantage. So I just want you to just give you a little update, you know, what we're up to today. And I'm going to work with both the horses. I might even for a while take my own horse into the round pen and play with her a bit, because I've been kind of neglecting her lately and that sort of thing. But you're not going to see anything new, so I'm not going to waste your time. I'm just going to tell you what I'm doing and just let you know that if you want successful horse training, you're going to have to do the same stuff, which means over and over and over. You are going to have to repeat the processes many times over, and as I demonstrated in a couple, sometimes you might have to start right from the beginning again when you're doing something, because from one day to the next, there are times things go backwards, or at least it seems that way anyhow, and you do in fact have to start all over again. But you know, that's not you. No, don't beat yourself up about it. That's stuff that happens. That's the real world. You know, you don't just do something once, fix it, it's done, that's it. Next time it's going to work perfect. No, next time might not work at all. And you're going to have to start all over again. And if you start all over again, you know, the following day, you can't just pick up where you left off. It doesn't always work that way. Sometimes you got to go right back to the very beginning again. I've talked about that too. And this is all perfectly normal stuff. And it's stuff that if you're going to be successful with your horse, you're going to have to do too. There's just no two ways around it. You know, you're going to have to do this stuff over and over and over again. Sometimes you're going to have to back up and start right from the beginning after you've done it quite a few times already quite well. You know, there may be a day where it just doesn't work. But on those days, if you start right from the very beginning, you will find that you move ahead very quickly most of the time. Not always. Sometimes you have a bit of a problem. But in most cases, if you do have to start right from the very beginning again, things do progress from there quite quickly if the horse has done it before. So, you know, look forward to that one. That's the one good thing. Other than that, like I said, just keep doing it. And well, I'll see you on the next one this weekend. Since I don't have anything new to show you, I don't know. I have a hard time putting enough videos together to entertain you. I'm thinking maybe I'm just going to have to start putting two together and go back to only uploading one a week now. I don't know, because we just don't have that much content for you anymore. Even though we got two horses now, they're both, pretty much at the same stage. The only video that's going to be a fairly lengthy one is when we go to trailer load that other one. And we do have one other thing. If I ever get a nice day, it's not windy, I'm going to show you. And it's nothing extravagant. Again, it's one of those many things you can do yourself at home with anything for tools. And it's not going to cost you anything except maybe a piece of tape or something. It's probably all it's going to end up costing you. And that's why we like to do stuff. Work with what you got. This is real world stuff. I did videos, quite a few videos in a real nice indoor arena. And that was really nice for bad weather. I never had to worry about my camera equipment getting rained or snowed on or anything like that, or blown over in the wind, because believe me, that has happened. And yeah, it was great, but that's not real world. This is the real world. And this is what most of you are going to be dealing with. If you happen to be lucky enough to live outside of the city, you're going to have a backyard that looks kind of like this. Some grass and trees and piles of hay sitting around, and somewhere there's going to be fences, and that's where you keep your horse. And you're going to be doing pretty much the same thing as what I'm doing right here. And I like to try and keep it that way intentionally. Even when I was in the other facilities, we had a round pen there. I seldom used it. I usually just worked in the arena with a lead, either this one or my longer training lead, to show you that you don't need a round pen. I actually have, I've never uploaded to YouTube a complete training series of videos where I completely trained a horse up to the point of I actually rode him. And I never did anything in the round pen. I do believe there was one video where I was in the round pen, but that was just because the arena was in use by a lot of other people, so I went out to the round pen and did a video out there. But other than that, I didn't actually use the round pen, not as a round pen. It was just a place to be, that's all it was. And I did that quite intentionally because I want you to realize you don't need one. All the most famous horsemen in the world these days, they're all using round pens, and it makes everybody think they got to have a round pen to train a horse. No, you don't. We were training horses long before they ever invented round pens. Actually, the interesting thing is round pens have actually been around for a long time. I talked about that in other videos. And there's various forms of round pens, the different dimensions, and they have different purposes. Some are used for branding. Some are what they call a buck pen, which is a very small pen that you would get on a horse for the very first time and buck it out. Very old school methods. I don't encourage you ever doing that anymore because that's going to cause you problems. And that sort of thing. And then there's, I don't know, there's some much bigger ones too, and I can't remember what they use them for. There's some sorting pens and whatever. But the round pen itself is still, even though they might go back 100 years, they're still relatively new. And the more common use of them, definitely very recent, last 30, 40 years maybe, kind of thing, that they became particularly popular for training horses, but they're absolutely not essential. They're great. They're nice to have, if you know what to do with them and how to use them, and that they've definitely got some benefits. If nothing else, it's just a really nice place to go away from the other horses. Take one horse in by itself, close the gate. The other horses can't get in. It can't get out. You got a sturdy fence around you. They're nice. They're nice that way. But other than that, you don't, no, you don't absolutely have to have one. Absolutely not. The only thing you got to have, lead, rope, and halter. If you got that, anything else you need, you can improvise, you can make up, you can do for next to nothing with the junk that's laying around. You don't need to go out and spend money on special training tools and long lines and surcingles and all kinds of stuff like that. All that stuff you always hear about other people using. You don't need any of that stuff. None of it. Absolutely none of it. In fact, most of it, most of it will actually make your problems worse. So don't get sucked into, just because it's for sale doesn't mean you have to buy it. There's a lot of stuff out there. I've talked about it in another video I did, but I haven't talked about it in this series. There's an awful lot of stuff for sale. Lots of tools and gimmicks and gadgets and that you've got to have. And no, you don't. And in fact, some of it is absolutely not good. And even when it comes to the supplements, you go into a lot of stores and they will have bags and bags and bags of all different kinds of stuff. And there's some of that stuff that is absolutely bad for your horse. And in fact, if I was to go into the barn here and pull out a bag of feed that I would never give my horse, it's not mine. I was reading through the ingredients on it, and there is a number of ingredients on there that, well, they range anywhere from absolute no-nos for horses to not a darn good idea at all. And some of it's acceptable in small quantities, but no. Just because they make it and it's a reputable manufacturer doesn't mean you should ever give it to your horse. Okay, so keep that in mind if you're inclined to buy feeds for your horse. Just because it's available and you can get it, and somebody says this is great for your horse, or it says so on the label, no, it doesn't mean it is. And same with all the tack and tools and gimmicks and gadgets and goodies that they sell for horse training. Or riding, or anything you're doing with your horse. Many of those things are absolutely no good and can actually make your problems worse. So just spend wisely. That's my advice. Spend wisely when it comes to your horse, because there's an awful lot of stuff that you do not need to be spending money on. Save your money, set it aside, keep it. Don't go out and buy a stereo instead, or a new game, or whatever you're into. Because someday you might need the money for your vet bill. Because something I haven't mentioned before, or haven't talked about, is horses can be extremely expensive if they require medical care in any way, shape, or form. You might get lucky and have your horse your whole life, right to its dying day, and never spend a penny on it. Or you could be like a few people I've met that were constantly calling the vet because that was their luck. The horse was always getting cut on something, or stuff was happening. And sometimes those bills can get really, really expensive. There was one they had to take in for some surgery on one of its feet, and I don't even remember what that cost, but it was thousands of dollars. And again, an example of how good training makes the horse easier to handle. That horse was so difficult for strange people to handle, they actually recommended to having it put down instead of doing the surgery on it. And they didn't want to do that, of course. They went ahead with the surgery. But that's a typical example of why you do good training and why you set your money aside. Because on a rainy day, you're going to need thousands of dollars. It can happen. I guarantee it. I know it can. I've seen it. And I've been rather fortunate. Most of my vet bills are pretty small, but they exist. I've had to fork out money now and again for various things, and guaranteed you're going to too. So don't buy everything that exists just because they say you need it. You don't need it. I've already shown you what you need right here. Lead and halter. You got that? Those are your essentials. Oh yeah, and a hoof pick too. If you're going to have a horse, you should have a hoof pick too. And if you happen to be into trimming, do that yourself. Well, those tools are, actually in total, they can be fairly costly, some of them. They're not cheap. Some of that stuff is not cheap, for sure. But in total, half a dozen trims are paid for if you do it yourself. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. But for the most part, there's not a lot of stuff. And you don't have to go out and spend a couple $100 on the latest form-fitting gel pad, memory foam, whatever, fancy schmancy pad to put under your $5,000 saddle. And you don't need to be paying a chiropractor and a physiotherapist and a mind reader and all of this stuff. 99.9% of that stuff you can do yourself. Common sense prevails. And In many cases, the body workers and chiropractors and whatever it is they have for horses, uh, I have yet to see any significant evidence that they do any good at all. One thing that they are darn good at, though, is taking your money. Again, be careful what your money is spent on, like, because uh, if you waste hundreds of dollars per visit from these people, that's money you can't spend on the horse and other things. And you don't have to buy new stuff. You can buy used stuff, a proper fitting saddle, used. You could probably pick one up for less than $500. You don't have to go broke buying this stuff. Saddle pad, you don't have to buy a fancy schmancy one. Plain Jane felt wool. Wool felt, whatever. Yeah, it's made out of wool, but it's a felt pad. They're made out of wool. And they come in various thickness. I recommend thinner ones because they don't mess up the fit of the saddle as much. A lot of factors people don't consider, but they're not horrible. I do believe they've gone up a little, and well, it depends on where you live, but less than $100, I can guarantee that, and maybe significantly less depending on where you live. So you spend a few hundred for a saddle, less than $100 for a pad. I got big feet, so I need bigger stirrups than what most saddles come with. So I might spend another $100 for some stirrups that are a decent fit. And a good fit is important. You don't want your feet getting stuck in them. You want them loose enough on your feet that you can get away with them. Most people got small enough feet that most of the stirrups that the saddles come with are adequate. For me, mine are a little bit wider. I need bigger stirrups, but they're not really difficult. And the wider ones that I like don't cost any more than any others. So, and you don't have to buy the latest, greatest, fanciest things that exist. The ones I bought for my last saddle, they weren't bad. They weren't anything over the top. And another saddle I had, it actually came with the big stirrups. I didn't have to spend a penny on that one. Well, I shouldn't say that. I did buy a couple things for it that it didn't come with, but overall the money I spent on that one was well worth it because of the value of the saddle. But bottom line is, you don't have to be buying new stuff. I have 3 saddles. All 3 of them I bought used. The only time I buy anything new is all 3 of them have a brand new cinch on them, and they're all brand new. I bought a new one because that's an important safety factor, keeping your saddle on. You don't want that thing giving away on you. And sometimes when they get old, they get crusty, and the rings and stuff, buckles get rusty, and they're not horribly expensive. Even a decent quality one is less than $100. I think it was about $80 I paid for the one, and it was pretty good quality stuff. It was made by a very reputable company. It was one of the best ones in the store of that style that I liked, and that's another thing when it comes to those things. You don't have to buy the fancy contour fit ones, or do not buy those neoprene ones that are no slip. If you get problems with your saddle slip and your saddle doesn't fit properly, you don't need one of those. And they'll just rip the hair out of the horse and create sores. They don't allow the horse to sweat. They will cause it to sweat. They don't allow it to breathe, I should say. They cause it to sweat. They'll let it sweat all right, a little too much. So my choice is, and I'll talk about this, I should maybe even show you one, is mohair. It's not the cheapest cinch that you can buy, but they're not horribly expensive. I like the roper style because they're wider at the bottom, which I believe, to me, makes sense to use that because it'll displace pressure more. The wider it is, the less pressure per whatever, inch, centimeter, whatever you're doing. The wider the better. Spreads the weight out, the pressure on it. And so the roper ones are not much more expensive than the conventional ones that go straight. They're okay too, I guess. But I figure, why not? It's only a few bucks more. I'm going to buy the roper style. So I use a roper style cinch, even though I don't do any roping, because it spreads out the pressure more on the horse. So, stuff like that. I don't buy fancy schmancy stuff that's hundreds of dollars. No, that cinch, even though I got a really good one, I think it was about $80. The, the saddles themselves, I have spent up to, just shy of $2,000 on one, but it also came with a saddle pad, a dust cover, and it was in its day a very expensive saddle. It would probably cost about $3,500 or more to replace today. I'm quite sure. It's a nice saddle. I like it. And it was a specialty saddle to fit one horse I have that has an Arab back, and it's an Arab tree saddle. It's a little bit different shape than your typical quarter horse saddle. And then I've got, my El Cheapo horse saddle that I bought off of, well, guess it'd be kind of Craigslist, Kijiji, whatever. I think it was Kijiji I bought it off of it. Internet cheap market. Maybe Facebook Marketplace would work for you. I don't know. Maybe that's a thing for you. You could buy one there. But that one, I believe I paid $275 for. And is it a great saddle? Yeah, it's not the best, but it fits the horse and it fits me. And that's what matters. And it's old enough and scuffed enough, and I got it cheap enough that if anything happens to it, I don't care. So that's the one I tend to use for training purposes, so that if the horse decides to move just as I'm about to put it on the horse, I'll just drop it on the ground and send the horse off running. I don't care if it gets dirty or scuffed. Don't matter. It's a cheap saddle. So a good saddle is worth owning. Fit is very important, and sometimes you have to spend a lot of money to get good fit. But you don't have to go broke and buy the most expensive saddle out there. I know for a fact saddles exist up to and exceeding $10,000. Now, anybody in their right mind will not pay that kind of money for a saddle. I wouldn't pay that much for the horse. Nope, definitely not the horse or the saddle. But even, $5,000, no, I don't think I'd pay that much either. I paid $2,000 for the one. Came with a few things. It was a very nice saddle and a specialty one. That's reasonable. That's still a little steep though. I don't think most of you need to pay that much. And you can very easily, I don't think you're going to, as far as new saddles go, I don't think you're going to get one that's worth putting on the back of a horse for less than about $1,500. There's saddles out there that are much cheaper, but I wouldn't buy them. I don't recommend them. But like I said, you don't have to go that route. You can get that $1,500 saddle that is worth putting on the horse's back for about $500 used. Well, you may spend a little more than that, but you get my drift. You don't have to pay the price. You don't have to buy everything new, and you don't have to buy the top of the line. You can buy good stuff that is relatively inexpensive, and you'll do just fine. And then you'll have some money left sitting in the bank, so the day that your horse gets hurt on a fence or cuts itself on a piece of barbed wire or steps on a sharp piece of what I don't know, they have a talent for hurting themselves. You'll have money to address that. That's what I said. Be careful how you spend your money. I don't know, maybe we'll come up with something to show you. I don't know, but we are really desperately running out of things to show you, because I'm just going to keep doing the same stuff over and over with both horses. Okay, I realized there is something that I'm going to be doing with this one here that is actually new for this one. You've seen me do it before, but I was just doing it again today with the other one. Like I said, repeat things over and over. And then when I went to do it with this one, I've never done it before, and she reacted quite differently. Now, it's not a reaction I'm unfamiliar with. I've seen it happen before. But I thought, you know what? I really should show you this one, because your horse might react like this. It might react quite a bit. Now, I showed you with the other horse how the minute I picked up the lead, she just turned her head. It didn't quite work like that with this one. When I asked her to turn her head, she did what many horses do, is she turned her whole body, which is not what you want to do. Now, I've got to get that thing out of my way, because I'm going to need a little bit more room here. And just to make sure I get the same reaction to show you, I'm going to do the other side this time, because she may have actually caught on a little bit with this side. It wasn't very good, believe me. And quite often when the horse turns its head, it thinks it needs to turn its whole body. And sometimes when you do this, you are going to have to go around and around for a very long time. As you can see, she's already turning. Now, when the horse is moving, it's very difficult to keep a steady pressure on the lead. So what I like to do is take my hand and I'll rest it on the shoulder blade. You'll notice my one hand is sitting on the horse. That's so that I can keep a steady pressure on the horse while I'm moving with it. Now that's the other thing, is I'm going with the horse. Now you got to be real careful when you're doing this. You got to watch your feet. You don't get stepped on or kicked at or whatever, because you never know what kind of reaction you might get from the horse. But now she's going to try all kinds of things to get her head away from me. I really wouldn't want to ride a horse like this. Boy, this would be terrible. And that's why we do this stuff. It gets the horse sensitive to the feel of the halter and the lead, which in turn is the reins, which in turn is your steering and brakes. So even though you don't think there's a saddle or anywhere near in sight, which there isn't, we're preparing her to be ridden at this very moment. And when you do this, you might actually have to do this for 10 or 15 minutes. So I hope you don't get dizzy too easy. She's really fighting me now. She really wants her head back. Oh, look at that. Oh, I'm actually having trouble keeping her head. There we go. That's better. She briefly softened. But I'll show you, if she ever does it, I'm going to show you exactly what you want to see. The results we're trying to achieve, what we want is, first off, the horse is going to stop moving. And she's not going to be fighting me like this. Oh wow, we're going way away from the camera. But I can't really do much about that. Actually, I can lead her up, but I don't like stopping when I'm in the middle of doing something. But we're getting a little way too far away for you to get a good view of what we're doing. Now I'm going to start over again. I'm going to take my hand and I'm going to set it up on her shoulder while trying to turn her head. And she's getting a little better. But I can't even get my hand onto her shoulder here because she's fighting me so much. There we go. That's better. But this is not unusual. Okay, there we go. There we go. Now she's smoothing out a little bit. That means that very soon we are going to have a little success here. Oh, she's slowing down. She's figured out that turning is not what she needs to be doing. And sorry about that, we almost knocked the camera over there. But this is the reality of working with horses, is you can't always control where they're going. Oh, there we go. She stopped moving. Okay, we're a little off camera. Hello, I'm over here. She still has not given to the halter yet. She's got her head turned, but I still have pressure on it to keep it there. Good girl. Just tuck your head in the tiniest little bit and I'll let go. Yeah, just like that. There we go. Okay. Well, that was a little bit of work there. Now what we did there is, there's two components we're after. Two things we're trying to get when we do that. And I'll explain a little bit more about, I probably didn't explain it very well the last time. But what we're doing is, we're trying to get softness. And what we want is two things to happen. We want the horse to stop going in circles, which is not uncommon. And some are worse than this one just was. But this was adequate for demonstration purposes. I wouldn't really want to run in circles any longer, because she's getting a bit of a wrestling match here almost, but which that happens sometimes. So you not only want her to stop going in circles, but when you're pulling on the lead, you don't want her to just turn her head while you're pulling. You want, see how the lead has gone slack and her head turned. That's what you want. Now she's still moving her body, unfortunately. That's okay. Well, we did this side once before, so I expect she's going to get better quicker. She's not quite as radical. We'll see how this goes now, because I haven't done this for the camera, I did the other side. And actually, I'm not even on her shoulder right now because I'm having trouble getting her head around a bit because she's fighting me so much. Okay, good. She stopped moving. Now, I still got a fair bit of tension on that lead, keeping her head turned around. Now, when she gives into it and softens is what we would call it. That's what most people refer to as softening. So when she gives into that, oh, getting there. There we go. I'm going to give her head back. And you notice the second I gave it back, she didn't just jerk it back. Because that's a thing that happens quite often is it becomes a bit of a circus trick where the tension is just a cue to turn the head. And as soon as you let go, they straighten right back out. You don't want them to. You want them to leave the head there when you let go and then just slowly bring it back. You don't want them to just snap it back right away. So let's see if we can do this again. Good girl. Oh, good girl. Oh no, she's going to turn. Not much. Good, 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 good. Oh, okay. Now you see how the tension on the reins. There we go. Oh, not quite. Oh, she's going to move some more. Okay. Well, that's all right. She can move if she wants. We'll just go with her. That's one of those things you might have to do. You might be running around in circles for a while doing this, depending on the horse. Not all horses are easy to do this with. Oh, she's really fighting me now, trying to get her head back because she doesn't know what the right answer is. She'll learn. She'll figure it out. And that's up to me to make it so she understands. Now, she stopped turning. That's good, but I still want her to soften. And as soon as she does, which I see her head, it's taking less force to hold it there. But she hasn't softened completely yet. And as soon as she does, I'm going to give her the lead. This is where one of those things where timing is really important. One of the few. There we go. She softened up there. Oh, she did bring her head up a bit. It was just a fluke. It softened. So was it actually right? Maybe not. But it worked. So now, a lot of guys will recommend work on one side at a time. I get bored with one side at a time. So I'm going to do the other side now. And you've already seen this one, and it didn't go particularly well. Let's see if it works any better this time. So I'm going to turn. Oh, not bad. It's actually better than it was the last time. She's not moving as much, and she actually initially turned her head. Good girl. Oh my. After doing it only once, this is working much better. And there we go. There. Oh, that was beautiful. That was actually quite remarkable how well that worked that time. Needless to say, I'm going to do this a whole lot more. And I was quite impressed how well that worked, though. She did move a little bit, but she eventually very quickly stopped and then gave me her head like she was supposed to. And that is a huge win. That's a huge win, really. You don't realize the importance of something like this. A lot of, and I always got told many years ago, oh, you flex your horse. And I don't understand why. What's this flexing for? I don't know if maybe nobody knew. Maybe nobody understood. But the increased sensitivity to this makes your brakes, steering, everything work better. It makes the horse more sensitive to you as a rider. And this might not matter a great deal right now when you're not riding a horse this young. But as she ages, somebody's going to be riding her, guarantee it. And they're going to be very grateful that we did this stuff because it makes a world of difference in how well she's going to respond to the reins, because this is effectively just nothing different than the reins, how she's responding to this. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. That was very nice. Very good. Very good. Once a horse gets well trained, all you have to do is pick the reins up and they'll turn their head. I got one that my own horse will do that. I just got to pick the reins up like this and she'll turn her head like that. Are you as smart as Molly? Wow. That's pretty impressive. And that went very, very quickly. That's wow. that can be a very time-consuming thing. That can take 15 minutes or more just on one side. And we've already done both sides in about 5 minutes. Maybe it was 10, I don't know. I wasn't keeping track of time, but sure the heck wasn't very long. So, but since it was a first for her, I thought I'd show it to you. Because I always, most of the stuff I have shown you, but I said I wanted to show you first. So, well, it's a first for her. It's not a first for the other one. You've seen her do that. But again, a different horse, you get a very different reaction. And you saw how much she wanted to move around. We ended up way the heck over there by the fuel tanks at one point. And that can happen. And you can be going around in circles for quite a while before it works. But you got to do this stuff because this is your lifeline. This makes the horse better to ride, stop, steer, everything you want to do makes a difference. So teach your horse to flex. It can make the difference between life and death, literally. And well, she still hasn't quite got this, but she's better. She only took a couple steps and then turned her head. Excellent. Oh my goodness. That was very good. I was quite impressed with that. So anyhow, patience. Be patient and do this stuff. Everything we do on the ground, the basics, all connect to what you're going to be doing later in riding, no matter what discipline you go into, because there's quite a few that you might want to pursue. And this is going to make a difference. So I hope you got something out of this, and we'll see you on the next one. Have a good day.